Box 13, with the star of Paramount Pictures, Alan Ladd, as Dan Holliday.
Box 13, care of Star Times. You advertised for adventure? I have it for you. If you will go any place, I can offer Paris. If you will do anything, you are the man I need. If you're interested, call at my office any day between the hours of 10 a.m. and...
Any day between the hours of 10 a.m. and noon. I am at 247 Wabash Place, signed William Martin. Paris. Adventure. What a dream that could have been. It was, but the awakening was different.
And now, back to Box 13 and Dan Holliday's newest adventure, Diamond in the Sky.
It sounded great. A trip to Paris and adventure for the frosting on the cake. Whoever Mr. William Martin was, he must have known that waving a deal like that in front of anyone was making it a sure thing. But Susie, as usual, had something to say.
I don't know, Mr. Holliday. Maybe it's just somebody kidding you.
That's the girl, Susie. Get out the wet blankets, spread them around.
Then again, maybe this Mr. Martin is beyond approach.
The word, Susie, is reproach. But I've got a brilliant idea.
What, Mr. Holliday?
It's all very simple. I go to see Mr. William Martin at 247 Wabash Place. Wabash Place was one of those little streets filled with small businesses. But number 247 was by itself. No display window in front like the others. I thumbed a bell button that had a card under it with William Martin engraved on it. 1 minute later, after introductions, I was looking across a desk at a short, stocky, apple-cheeked man who said,
No one knows you have come here, Mr. Holliday?
No, just my secretary. Oh, but she won't say anything.
You're positive.
I am.
Ah, good. A cigarette, Mr. Holliday.
Oh, yes, thanks.
And a light. You do not like my brand, huh?
All this lacks is a fuse. What's in it?
My special tobacco. But here's an ashtray.
Thanks. Well, Mr. Martin, you wrote that letter to Box 13, and here I am.
Ah, good. Down to business, then.
He opened a drawer, took out a photograph, and slid it across the desk to me. What I saw was a picture of a diamond. But what a piece of ice. I was studying it when Martin spoke again.
I see by your expression, Mr. Holliday, that you are properly impressed.
Oh, I'm impressed, Mr. Martin. What is this, the Rock of Gibraltar or something?
Not quite. That is the Mirabilis diamond.
Oh.
You've heard of it, then?
Yes, but how does it concern me?
Here. These credentials will tell you who I am.
William Martin.
Well, that's my name, yes, but, well, you look.
Martin passed me a sheaf of papers with his photo on them. He was William Martin, representative of Jason Van de Cleef. The name sounded familiar. Martin read my expression again, and...
Mr. Vanderclift is a diamond merchant. He has recently purchased the Mirabilis for $1 million.
That's a lot of hay for a lot of ice.
I beg your pardon?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Martin.
The gem is in Paris. I am to get it and bring it over here.
I see. And, Box 13?
You will go with me, Mr. Holliday. I have reservations for you on the plane.
Now, just a minute. I'm not a bodyguard, Mr. Martin, or a private detective.
Please. Nothing so crude, Mr. Holliday. No, I have a much better plan. But first, let me tell you something. There is no jewel thief in the world who would not risk everything to get the Mirabilis.
He could never sell it.
No. But it could be cut up, and any one of the smaller stones would more than repay the thief for their trouble.
Yes, I guess you're right. Okay, where do I come in?
Well, it is very simple. But like all simple things, it is brilliant. I thought of it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Now, you will pick up the diamond in Paris. I will go on the same plane, but we shall be complete strangers to each other. Do you begin to see, Mr. Holliday?
Sure. If anyone's wise that you're going over to get the stone, they'll follow you.
Exactly. But I won't have it. You will. I shall stroll around Paris as a tourist. Anyone following me will be, shall we say, following a red mackerel?
All right, let's say it. Oh, but there's only one thing wrong.
Wrong? I did not think of something important.
Yeah, that's right. Me. Suppose this plan doesn't fool anyone. Then I'm set up like a clay pigeon. You lose a Mirabilis, and I'm just another claim for the insurance company.
Oh, no, alors, you have no worry.
Well, maybe I worry easily, Mr. Martin, especially if I'm carrying $1 million worth of bait.
Mr. Holliday, only you and I know of this. There can be no leak of information unless you tell someone.
Oh, sure, I'll go around telling everyone that Dan Holliday's a setup. Here I am, fellas. Come and get me.
That's right. And thieves would kill to get the diamond. They have already. Why, I can tell you the history of the stone. Calcutta, murder. London, murder. Vienna, 2 deaths. And
Mr. Martin, skip the cook's tour of the morgue, will you?
But you advertised for adventure, Mr. Holliday. You will go any place, do anything. Well?
Touche. A little below the belt, but touche. And you've added one more to the population of Paris. Martin's plan was simple, and if it worked, a good way to get the Mirabilis into the United States. I said if. Hey, who invented that word? Well, it was 3 days later that I was ready to leave, passport okay, papers in order, and a phone call from Martin warning me not to recognize him when we were on the plane. I gave instructions to Susie and left for the airport. A few hours later, I was out over the Atlantic. Martin sat well in front of me and never once looked back. So I played it his way and beyond a quick look paid no attention to him. Then, as I was settling down to watch the ocean go past underneath,
Mr. Holliday? Mr. Dan Holliday?
Yes, I'm Holliday.
I'm Maureen Carson, your stewardess.
Oh, how are you?
Fine. And you?
Wonderful, thank you.
Good. Here's a letter for you.
Letter? You're sure it's for me?
Mr. Holliday, seat 19, flight 12.
Check all the way through on that. All right, thanks, Miss Carson.
You're welcome, sir.
Oh, Miss Carson.
Is there something you want?
Well, just an answer to a question. Who gave you this?
Well, no one. It was among last-minute letters and packages and gifts for our passengers.
Oh, I see. Well, thanks again, Miss Carson.
Not at all, Mr. Holliday.
The letter was from Martin, brief and to the point. I was to go to an address in Paris and stay there until he called. Well, Mr. Martin was playing them close to his vest. Maybe he didn't trust me. And who could blame him? With $1 million worth of diamond for an ante, he wasn't dealing all the cards at once. Well, all I had to do was wait until morning in Paris. Early next morning, we landed at the Bourget field. I stuck close behind Martin leaving the plane, but he didn't give me a tumble, so, well, I guess my cue was to hole up at the address mentioned in the letter until he got in touch. I was trying to flag down a taxi when...
Is this the last time you saw Paris, Mr. Holliday?
Oh, hello there, Miss Carson.
Looks like you're having trouble.
Yes, a little. Say, how do you get one of these grounded grasshoppers to stop?
You wave in French, like this.
Oh, just like that, huh?
Just like that.
Teach me to wave like that, and I'll be able to get a taxi in Paris. Of course, if you lend me your face.
There's nothing to it. Oh, I almost forgot. I came out here to find you.
Oh? Something wrong? Passport, papers?
No, but I believe this is yours.
How did you get this?
I found it on the floor of the plane just after you left.
Oh?
What's the matter?
Nothing. Can I give you a lift?
No, thanks. I have my reports to make out.
Maybe some other time if we're still in Paris, huh?
Well, I'll be for 3 days before the hop back to the States.
No, I see. Well, thanks a lot, Miss Carson. I'll be seeing you.
I hope so, Mr. Holliday.
She walked away from me. In my hand was the letter from Martin telling me where to stay until I heard from him. I hopped into the cab, gave the driver the address, and then leaned back in the seat to do some thinking. The letter was in my inside coat pocket. Pretty hard for anything to fall out of there. But my coat had been on a hanger, and I'd been away from it just long enough for anyone to pick up that letter. So, if anyone was wise to the way the game was being played, Martin was home safe while I stood a better than even chance of being picked off of first base. A half hour later, I was sitting in the little room at the address given me when... Yes? We? Hello.
Holiday?
Yes? Oh, Martin?
Yes. Everything was all right?
Fine. Now what?
You are sure no one knows where you are?
Well,
Holiday,
All right, no one knows. Now what?
here is an address. Go to it. There you will pick up the package.
Okay.
Now, don't write this down. Remember it. Do you
All right.
hear?
All right, I can remember it.
45 Rue de la Guerre.
45.
No. Do not repeat it there. Just remember it.
All right, all right.
Please, Mr. Holliday, you understand my concern.
Look, my neck's out of yard, too, Martin.
Of course. Now listen. There is a Monsieur Corray. Ask for him. Identify yourself with these words. I've come from the sky. You hear that?
I got it. Then what?
There will be no question. Those words are our code. Now, I am registered at the Vendôme Hotel. Leave the package for me at the desk.
Just like that, I leave a
I
package
know
for...
what I am doing. Now, that is all. The rest is up to you, Mr. Holliday.
Okay.
And, Mr. Holliday,
Yes, what now?
for your sake, I sincerely hope nothing goes wrong.
And now, back to Box 13 and Diamond in the Sky with Alan Ladd as Dan Holliday.
The rest was up to me, Martin said. All I had to do was collect the Mirabilis diamond, see that I wasn't caught off base, deliver it to Martin, and then that was all. I hailed a cab on the street. 4-5 Rue de la Guerre. Beat.
Governor, with an accent like that, just talk English.
Guess it wasn't very good, huh? Are you an American?
No, a Londoner from Limehouse. Hop in, sir. That was 45 Rue de la Guerre, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. How did you know I was an American?
You kidding? I drove a cab 3 years in Brooklyn. He wants to know how I know he's an American.
Okay, Limehouse. Then you should know what this means. Step on it, never mind the tickets, huh?
Blimey, I ain't heard that since the days in Flatbush. Hold on, pal. Here we go. You're here, Governor. Want me to wait?
Yeah, and keep that motor hot.
Hey, what's up?
I don't know.
Something hot?
Just wait.
Okay, Governor. I'll be here.
I went into the house, asked for Monsieur Corray. Gave him the code words, I've come from the sky. And without a word, he went to the fireplace, lifted out a brick, and handed me a velvet case. Well, after all this, I had to take a look. Inside the case, well, the Mirabilis looked like a piece of something that would make any crook risk his neck. Or mine. I snapped the case shut. Corray said nothing, just watched me. Showed me out. All right, Limehouse. Vendôme Hotel and on the way. Don't bother to fly low.
I don't know what this is all about, sir, but when you went in that house, that car pulled up back of us and stopped.
Huh?
And they kept their motor hot, too.
Limehouse was right. It looked as though somebody had talked, but not me, and certainly not Martin. We pulled away, the big car tailed after us. Limehouse turned his head to talk to me.
They're tailing us, all right.
Can you get away?
With this act, the 3 cylinders still work and I got asthma.
You gotta make it.
What did you do? Pinch the crown jewels?
You're warm. Step on it and do your best, will you?
Did you pull a heist?
No.
Okay, you've got an honest face. All right, Governor. There's nothing keeping this act together but termites holding hands, but here we go.
That big car in the back didn't lose an inch. Limehouse, and I had to go through an empty stretch of road. So I told him I thought that's where the mugs in the big car would make their pitch, and...
Yes, you're right, but I've got an idea.
Well, I can use it.
Listen, look down the street. See that turn to the right?
Yeah?
I'll get close to the curb as I can, and you get ready for a jump.
Huh? Jump.
Sure. I'll act like I'm going straight, but where I showed you, I'll turn fast to the right. You jump out, roll in a doorway or something.
Well, what about you?
I'll make a U-turn back out and pull the mugs down the street after me. You got it?
Got it. Oh, here's your fare. Plus.
Ain't had so much fun since Coney Island. Okay, pal. Try for the brass ring. Now!
Attaboy, Limehouse. It worked. I collected a few bruises, but I still had the diamond. Farther down the road, Limehouse stopped. He had to because the boys in the big car angled in front of his cab. I waited long enough to make sure Limehouse was going to keep his health. Then I doubled back and forth until I came out on a main street. There I took a bus. I felt like having lots of people around. I got to the Vendome Hotel, walked to the desk, and told the clerk I wanted to leave a package for Monsieur William Martin. Oh, brother, I got the surprise of my life when the clerk told me there was no Monsieur William Martin registered there. Well, I sat down to figure that one out. Then, just when I was about to give up,
Holliday. No. Don't look at me.
Martin, what the devil?
Pretend that you are not speaking to me. Now, you have the stone?
Yes, but I almost did that.
What happened?
It's a long story. You want to hear it now?
No. We have not enough time. Look, I will put part of my newspaper on the sofa between us. Then, when no one is looking, put the diamond under the paper.
Okay, then what?
After a minute, I will pick up the newspaper and leave.
Oh, and I hope this ice goes with you, Mr. Martin.
It will. Don't worry.
Well, that looked like it. All finished. Huh. I counted chickens that weren't there. A half hour later, I went to the room of my hotel. I just had the door open when... I woke from my deep dream of peace with a knot on my head and a distaste for the whole proceedings. And the room? Well, it was in shambles. Somebody had fine-combed it after drumming on my head. The manager knew nothing about it. Well, that made us even because I couldn't figure why somebody took the trouble to slug me and search the room when I didn't have the diamond. Unless somebody thought I was still carrying it. That somebody? I had an idea, and 40 minutes later, I was sitting across from Irene Carson at a little sidewalk cafe.
Mr. Holliday, you're insane.
I will be after another knock on the head.
But why do you accuse me?
Because no one but Martin knew where I was going to stay in Paris. And you.
But this is ridiculous. How should I know?
The letter you said dropped out of my pocket.
It did drop from your pocket, and I did not read it. Really, I think this is a ridiculous story. A Mr. Martin who wasn't at his hotel to pick up a diamond worth $1 million, men chasing you, hitting you, searching your room. And now, simply because I had my hands on a letter, you accuse me of...
Who else knew?
You're Mr. Martin. And that's another thing. I never saw you with anyone on that plane. You spoke to no one. You got off alone. Really, Mr. Holliday, it's a fantastic story.
No one saw me with Martin.
Exactly. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to get back to Le Bourget. You've taken up too much of my time already.
All right, Miss Carson. But will you do me a favor?
What? Confess to the whole thing? Admit I'm a notorious international jewel thief?
No, just get me on a plane back to the States. Look, I apologize.
All right. All right, I accept the apology. And I'll do my best to get you out of Paris. You seem to be allergic to trouble here.
You're so right, Miss Carson. You're so right. After that rigmarole in Paris, New York's LaGuardia Airport sure looked good to me. I was leaving the field when...
Welcome home, Holliday.
Well, Kling, what a nice surprise.
I've got more. Come on.
Hey, wait a minute. What is this?
You're a writer. Write a line for yourself now.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about a pinch, Holliday, which this is.
Arrested? Now, wait a minute. It didn't make sense. Nothing made sense. On the way into the city, Kling wouldn't say a word. For every question I asked, he growled. But finally, in his office...
Where's the diamond, Holliday?
Diamond?
Mirabilis, schmirabilis. Where is it?
I smuggled it in, Kling.
So you got through customs. Now quit stalling. Where is it?
Are you kidding?
$1 million in ice and nobody, kids. Nobody.
Now, wait a minute. Why did you pick me up?
I stopped in at your office to say hello, and Susie told me that you were in Paris.
Yesterday, we got word from Jason Vandercliff that the miraculous diamond he was to get from Paris hasn't shown up. We checked with the Paris police. A guy named Corray...
Describe me. Is that it?
Yeah. Susie tells me you're in Paris. Corray describes you, and 2 and 2 make 4. Now start talking.
Well, I told Kling the story, starting with Martin's letter to Box 13 and ending with my return to the States.
Can you prove that yarn?
Get Martin and ask him.
That'll be a little tough. He's dead.
What?
Yeah. When did you leave for Paris?
Day before yesterday.
Martin's body was found in the river that day. We didn't get an identification until yesterday. Vandercliff identified him.
Kling, you're crazy. I tell you, Martin went to Paris on the same plane with me.
Here's Martin's photograph. Take a good look.
This isn't Martin.
Vandercliff ought to know. His own agent.
And the Martin I went with was a fake.
Yeah. Who probably killed the real Martin. Took his place, used his own photo and the credentials he showed you. That's a brilliant remark.
But the crooks who chased me in Paris, my being hit over the head after I got the diamond,
Yeah, it's easy to figure now. Your fake Martin sent those hoods after you to get the diamond and get rid of you for good so you couldn't identify him.
That's why he wasn't registered at the hotel, because he didn't expect me to show up at the diamond.
And the crack over the head, your room searched.
Sure. When I got away from his boys, he sent them to my room, thinking I might go back there before I went to the Vendôme. I walked in while they were searching the room, and they slugged me. Don't you see, Kling, I'm in the clear.
Yeah? How?
Well, because I had nothing to do with
Holliday, you've got your story. But only Martin can keep you out of jail.
Then you've got to find Martin.
How? He must have taken an earlier flight from Paris.
But how could he get the diamond through customs?
I don't know. You know, Holliday, this looks like the end of Box 13 for you. Martin loses himself in a city of 7 million, lays low, and leaves you to take the rap.
What if I find him?
You'll still have to make him talk.
Listen, Kling. You know I've never been mixed up in anything shady. Maybe I've been roped in because I follow things through, but never deliberately.
What are you getting at?
Will you let me find Martin?
How? You're our only link with him, and you don't know a thing about him. He could dye his hair, leave off his glasses.
I know, but if I don't find him, I'm in trouble. Is that right?
You've never been more right in all your life.
All right. If I don't find him in 24 hours, I'll walk back in here, and you can do what you want with me. Is that a deal?
You know, Holliday, when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a cop. My father wanted me to be a sign painter. Now I realize my father was a smart man. All right, go ahead.
A needle in a haystack. I was hunting for it, and it was a pretty sharp needle. Any character who could think up a frame as neat as this one would be tough to locate, if he was still in town. But I had to go ahead. It took me 2 hours to remember something that would help me. 7 hours more to follow it up, and an hour to get hold of Irene Carson and take her with me. Then call Kling and give him the setup. It was later that night that I knocked on a door.
Yes? Who is it?
Telegram from Mr. Benjamin Slade.
Oh, one moment, please.
Hello, Martin.
What?
I used to be a salesman. I'm good at sticking my foot in doors.
Who are you?
Mother Hubbard, and I've come to take a look in your cupboard, Mr. Martin.
My name is Slade, Benjamin Slade.
So, you did dye your hair. And you're much prettier without glasses.
I have never seen you before in my life.
Yes, but I've seen too much of you. Come on, Slade, or Martin, give it up, will you?
What brought you here?
One of your peculiar cigarettes. I remembered I tried to smoke one when I first met you.
You are insane.
Yeah? I went to your fake office in Wabash Place. There was an ashtray with some cigarette butts still in it. It took me 7 hours to run down the dealer who makes your cigarettes.
Clever. But I still deny ever having seen you before in my life.
Oh? Okay, let's try something else. Come in, please, will you? Martin, this is Miss Carson. Our stewardess on the trip over, remember? Mm-hmm. Miss Carson, is this the man who gave you the letter to give to me?
Yes, that's the man.
I did not...
Oh. Slips count in this game, Martin. Besides, your handwriting in the letter can be identified.
You're too clever.
Duck, Miss Carson?
Oh!
Okay, Martin, without a gun, you're just another sitting duck. Now get up and come on.
But, Mr. Holliday, how did Mr. Martin get the diamond over here?
He was too smart for that, Susie. He left it in Paris.
Oh.
He got out and planned to return later. The Paris police have found it.
You know, he was pretty silly.
Silly. Oh, how'd you figure that out, Susie?
Well, $1 million? Jeepers, look at all the income tax he'd have to pay on it.
Huh? Oh. Good night, Susie.
Next week, same time, Alan Ladd stars as Dan Holliday in Box 13. Alan Ladd appears through the courtesy of Paramount Pictures. Watch for him in his latest picture, Saigon. Box 13 is directed by Richard Sandbell, with an original story by Saul Shore, adapted for radio by Russell Hughes. Original music is composed and conducted by Rudy Schrager. The part of Susie is played by Sylvia Picker and Lieutenant Kling by Edmund MacDonald. Production is supervised by Vern Karstensen. This is a Mayfair production from Hollywood. Box 13, with the star of Paramount Pictures, Alan Ladd, as Dan Holliday.
To Box 13, care of Star Times. Dear Dan, if this is the way you want it, okay. If a pal and buddy has to reach you the hard way, all right. Enclosed is a ticket to my fight with Brennan tomorrow night. I'd like to see your mug at ringside. If I don't, I'll make it a point to muss it up for you.
If I don't, I'll make it a point to muss it up for you. Johnny Capelli. Johnny Capelli, a kid when I first met him, fighting in a different way, at Anzio. And maybe, just maybe, Anzio wasn't as hard for him to take as what happened right here.
And now, back to Box 13 and Dan Holliday's newest adventure, Double Right Cross.
Johnny Capelli, contender for the middleweight crown. A big, overgrown kid with a smile full of white teeth and a heart full of kindness for everybody.
Johnny Capelli? I never heard of him, Mr. Holliday.
Well, you don't read the sport pages, Susie.
But you know him, huh?
Uh-huh. We played duck on a rock on the beach at Anzio for keeps. I saw him a little while ago. Told him my Box 13 idea, and I guess he saw the ad in the Star Times.
And you're going to fight, huh?
Yes, that's it, Susie.
Did he send you a bedside seat?
There's nothing I can do with that one. So long, Susie. In the driving rain, I headed for the stadium, and my cab ran fenders first into a traffic jam. Well, there was no use trying to get through, so I paid off the cabbie and started to plow the rest of the way to the stadium. I looked at my watch 2 minutes after 10. The first round of the fight was underway. By the time I hit ringside, people were already on their feet leaving. And there was booing and talk. Capelli knocked out. Capelli acted like a fourth-rater. Johnny Capelli laid down. I pushed my way back to the dressing rooms with a little knot of people around one door, and a girl was rattling the knob and calling,
Johnny, please open the door. Johnny.
"What's the matter? What's going on?"
Who are you? Reporter, beat it.
No, I'm a friend of Johnny's. Who are you?
His manager. I was, but not after tonight.
He loses one fight and you're quitting.
Yeah, like he did. When he comes out of there, tell him he can take this contract and tell him.
You're Helen, aren't you?
Yes. Please go away. Johnny can't see any reporters now. Please go, will you?
I looked at her. So this was Helen. The girl Johnny dreamed about, talked about, raved about, then talked some more about, All the while, he and I were trying to miss the casualty list in Italy. The girl he sent a diamond brooch bought with a year's pay he hoarded like a miser. Well, if looks counted, she was worth it. She rattled the knob again and...
Please, Johnny, it's Helen. Johnny.
May I try? Johnny! Johnny, this is Dan. Dan Holliday.
Dan Holliday.
Oh, yes, you recognize the name?
Oh, yes, Johnny spoke of you. He said that...
What's the matter with Johnny?
He won't come out, Holliday.
Oh, who are you?
Helen's brother. You see if you can get Johnny out of there, Holliday.
Johnny. Johnny Capelli. It's Dan, Johnny. Is there any other way out of this dressing room?
Yeah, the window. This is the ground floor. He could have got out of the window.
Look, both of you, Helen and...
Name's Eddie.
Yeah, all right, Eddie. Get somebody with the key to open this door. Go ahead, Eddie. Step on it.
Okay, be back in a minute.
Now, what's all this about, Helen?
No, I don't know. As soon as the fight was over, it came...
He was conscious?
Yes, he walked, but we got the door here, and he broke ahead of me and ran in and locked the door, and I...
All right, Helen. All right. Now, take it easy. We'll find out what's happened. When we got into the dressing room, Johnny was gone, and Eddie was right. The window was open. I couldn't figure it. Johnny Capelli, a kid whose courage was A+. A kid who went through Anzio, Salerno, Casino. Sure, he was scared, just like the rest of us. But he didn't whimper. And he didn't run out, ever. It just didn't figure, and Helen didn't make it any more clear.
No, I don't know. I don't know why he ran away.
Well, take it easy, sis. Johnny must have had a reason.
Yes, he must have. Now, listen, where'd he go?
Well, if he's not at his hotel, I don't know.
Well, we called there. That's no good. Any other place, think.
I don't know of any.
All right. Where can I get in touch with you later?
387 Christopher Place.
Good. You wait there. I'll find Johnny. It was tough, but I finally tracked down a cab driver who remembered picking up a man back of the stadium. Seemed, well, drunk, he said. Took him to a little hotel on the other side of town. It could be Johnny, so I went there and...
Go away.
Johnny?
Get out.
Listen to me, Johnny. This is Dan. Dan Holliday.
Dan?
Yeah, let me in, Johnny.
No, go away. Just go away, will you?
What are you trying to do, Johnny?
Nothing. Please, will you go away?
Look, kid, let me in or I'll break in. Johnny.
Hiya, Dan.
Where's the light?
Don't turn it on. Don't, Dan.
Okay, Johnny. No light.
Close the door. Why'd you come?
Why do you think?
Listen, nobody else knows where I am, do they?
No, nobody.
Helen?
No.
Where is she?
Home, waiting for me to call her.
But you're not going to.
What's the matter, Johnny?
Dan, I'm sick.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Look, Dan, it was swell of you to come. There's nobody I'd want to see any more than you, but not now, Dan. Some other time, but not tonight.
You're going to tell me what's wrong, Johnny.
All right. Turn on a light and take a look.
Johnny.
Yeah. Better with the light off, isn't it?
Now, listen, you took a beating. You're hurt, kid. Hurt badly. I've got to get a doctor.
No.
I said yes.
No, you get a doctor, and so help me, Dan. I'll kill you.
Johnny! Hello, desk clerk. Listen, get a doctor to room 10 right away. And that means right now.
All right, Mr. Holliday. He'll sleep for a while now.
How long before he wakes up, Doctor?
5, 6 hours, maybe longer.
How badly is he hurt?
Well, that's hard to tell. He took quite a beating. Who is he?
Friend of mine.
I see. Fight?
Yeah, sort of.
Well,
Look, Doctor, as long as there's no gunshot wound, you don't have to report this, do you?
No, but
Well, let's leave it that way then, huh? You will be back in the morning?
Yes. I'll make a more thorough examination then. He was too hysterical to do much with tonight. But I think he'll be calmer when he awakens.
Then there's nothing too bad.
I don't think so. Bruises, contusions, and his eyes.
What's wrong with his eyes?
I'll see you in the morning. Good night, Mr. Holliday.
Good night. Thanks, Doctor. I sat by Johnny's bed and watched. I didn't call Helen because, well, for some reason, Johnny didn't want anybody to know. To know what? Maybe I'd find out when Johnny came to. Maybe he wouldn't tell me. But I just couldn't see Johnny running out on anything. There had to be something wrong. Something big. I sat in a chair alongside the bed and thought about it, and I guess I fell asleep because the next thing I knew, Huh? Oh, just a minute.
Good morning.
Good morning, Doctor.
Is he still sleeping?
Yeah.
Maybe for another hour or so. But I'll wait.
Thanks. You'll be all right?
Well, I'd like to ask him a few questions when he awakens. I don't think there's anything seriously wrong, but, well, I'll wait.
What are you getting at?
I don't know. You'll have to wait, too.
Okay. Meanwhile, I'll go out and get some coffee. You can use some, too, can't you?
Yes, thanks.
I'll be right back. I thought I'd be right back. But when I got down to the street, something changed my plans. There was a newsstand, and the first thing that hit my eye was a sub-headline. It said, Boxing Commission holds up Capelli purse. Capelli disappears after fight fiasco. I hurried to a phone, called the Star-Times, got a few strings pulled, and a half hour later, I was sitting across from the commissioner at his home.
Just exactly what interest do you have in this, Mr. Holliday?
I'm a friend of Johnny's.
I see. All right. You must have something important to tell me this early in the morning.
I want you to tell me something, Commissioner.
What?
Why is the commission holding up Johnny's purse?
Because we believe the fight was not quite on the level.
Meaning, you think Johnny threw it?
We don't know. We're going to look at the movies this morning.
Johnny didn't throw that fight.
Did you see it?
No, I didn't, but
Then how do you know?
Well, because I know Johnny.
That's your only reason?
I think it's enough, Commissioner.
Look, Mr. Holliday, we have one job to do. Keep the boxing game fair and square as a service to the fans who pay their money to see good, clean sport. Capelli was a 10-1 favorite last night. A big bet placed on Brennan would bring a lot of money to anyone.
Meaning Johnny might have bet on Brennan?
It's been done. And the commission is in business to see that it doesn't happen anymore. Until Capelli proves otherwise, we'll say he threw that fight.
I didn't believe it. But Johnny lost. He lost badly. And he did run out, and he wouldn't tell why. I went back to the little hotel and ran into the doctor who was just leaving.
Oh, Mr. Holliday. That cup of coffee took a long time.
It wasn't coffee. How's Johnny?
He'll be all right.
That all?
No. Last night when I examined him, something puzzled me.
What?
His eyes. Pupils dilated.
And?
This morning when I examined him again, I asked a few questions.
What about?
Your friend had every symptom of belamine poisoning. Last night, the pupils of his eyes were dilated, and...
Wait a minute. That would affect his sight, wouldn't it?
Yes. Taken internally, belamine is poisonous. Quarter grain and up is fatal.
And less than that?
Dryness of throat, nervousness.
In other words, if someone gave him belamine, he'd have a hard time seeing.
Very difficult.
And if he were a boxer?
Well, if he were a boxer and went in the ring with his eyes in that condition, he wouldn't be able to see his opponent.
Now back to Box 13 and Double Right Cross with Alan Ladd as Dan Holliday.
So Johnny lost the fight because he couldn't see Brennan. But why did he run out? Why didn't he want anyone to see him?
I thought I was going blind, Dan. Brennan was just a shadow that was beating me.
Why didn't you quit? Why didn't you say something?
Because
Tommy?
I didn't want anybody to know. If it was going to be that way, I'd take it alone.
Noble, huh?
Look, Dan, I waited a long time for that fight. It meant a crack at the title. Helen waited with me. If I was going blind, I wasn't going to let her know and stick with me.
Sure. A kid like you would think that way. Now listen to me, Johnny. Somebody fed you the stuff to impair your sight. Somebody who wanted you to lose that fight. Who?
You're crazy, Dan.
What did you eat yesterday?
Eat? The day of the fight? Nothing. little breakfast.
And the rest of the day?
Nothing.
Liquids? Water? Milk?
Of course not. No fighter fills himself up with liquids. Makes him logy, heavy on his feet.
But, Johnny, the Bellarmine had to be given to you just before you went into the ring. Any earlier in the day, and the effect would have worn off before the fight.
Look, why don't you lay off, Dan? I'm telling you, I didn't eat anything or drink anything, not for hours before the fight.
But you had to.
No. I know what I did. Look, maybe it was my eyes. Maybe it is what I thought. I got hit in Italy, Dan. Maybe...
It's not that. The doctor knows what he's talking about, Johnny. Somebody fed you that stuff.
Who?
You tell me.
Nobody. I didn't eat, drink. Do I have to go over all that again?
No, but I am. You wait here, Johnny. Johnny was a 10-1 favorite over Brennan, and somebody played that for all it was worth. And it looked like it was worth a lot of money if the bet was big enough. A little while later, I was talking to Brennan.
You're crazy, Holliday. Maybe the guy wasn't in shape.
Look, Brennan, Johnny was in condition.
So you're telling me that somebody doped him? Meaning me?
No, I'm just asking.
And I'm telling. I got 120 fights on a clean sheet. None of them was shady. I don't play that way.
I'm not saying that. I'm only trying to find out who could have given Johnny that drug.
Well, I wasn't near his dressing room. I didn't even see him after we weighed in that afternoon.
All right, it had to be in his food.
Food? No fighter's going to eat right before a match.
Or drink water?
He just rinses his mouth, that's all.
What else, Brennan?
If he's training right, nothing else.
But if he gets thirsty...
I told you, he just rinses his mouth. He drinks water, it makes him heavy. That's why a fighter chews gum all day. It gives him a moist...
Gum?
Yeah, gum. Why?
Gum. That's it, Brennan. That's it.
Sure, I chewed gum all day.
Before the fight in your dressing room?
I must have been chewing gum. I remember that...
Go ahead, Johnny. What were you going to say?
Nothing.
Yes, you were.
No, I wasn't.
Look, there's only one way the drug could have been given to you. Now, you've got to think who gave you gum just before you went in that ring.
I didn't have any.
Johnny, what are you hiding?
Nothing.
You were going to say something a second ago. Did Baker, your manager, give you...
No.
Who else was with you?
Just Baker.
Where was Helen?
Shut up, Dan.
Did she give you any gum?
Forget the whole thing. I'm going blind, that's all.
No, you're not.
Beat it.
Helen gave you that gum. She was in your dressing room before the fight, wasn't she?
Cut it out, Dan.
That's why you shut up before you remembered. And the chewing gum was the only way the drug could be given to you. Because you didn't eat, you didn't drink water or anything else before you went in that ring. But maybe 15 minutes before, Helen handed you the gum, didn't she?
Shut up, Dan. Shut up and forget the whole thing.
Come on, Johnny. She gave you the gum, didn't she? Didn't she? You still got a good right, Johnny.
I'm sorry, Dan.
Sure. Sure, let's forget it. But I didn't want to forget it. I left Johnny and went to see Baker, his manager. I didn't tell him what I'd found out. I just listened.
Sure, I brought the kid up from the ham and egg prelims. But after last night, we're washed up.
Johnny was a 10-1 favorite, wasn't he?
Yeah, a match with the champ next.
Did you bet on Johnny?
I never bet.
Even if you thought Johnny was going to win?
What are you driving at?
At somebody who stood to make a killing if Johnny lost.
You're asking for a clout holiday.
I just had one. What about Helen?
What about her?
All right, Baker, here are the cards. Johnny went in the ring last night, a sure bet to lose.
What?
Yeah, that's right. He was drugged. He couldn't see Brennan from the first bell until he was counted out. He was fighting on instinct and courage.
Listen, what are you giving me? There was nobody in his dressing room but me
And Helen?
Yeah,
Now, what about her?
nothing. Except once I walk in on the two of them and, well, they was having a fight.
What about?
They clammed up when I walked in, but I heard something about a brooch.
Brooch? Diamond brooch? The one Johnny sent her from Italy?
Maybe. All I know is what I said.
That's enough. Thanks, Baker. Maybe you'll have a champ on your hands yet. The next stop was to see Helen. I wasn't sure how to handle this. And all I had to go on was the fact that Johnny was covering for her. Why? And they'd had a fight over that brooch. Again, why? So the big question was, did she or did she not double-cross Johnny? Her first words to me were,
Dan, you found Johnny.
maybe.
Maybe, but what do you mean?
Sit down, Helen.
What's the matter? Is he all right?
He'll be all right. He's in a little hotel.
Well, then take me there. I want to see him, Dan.
Maybe he doesn't want to see you.
What? Johnny, now, did he say that?
No.
Well, what are you doing? Why don't you take me to him? Why are you talking like this, Dan?
How much did you win on the fight, Helen?
What do you mean?
I watched her face closely after I asked that. Either she was the new Sarah Bernhardt or she was in the clear. For a couple of seconds, she stared at me, and then...
That's a filthy thing to say.
Yes, I know, but I've got something to find out.
And what did you hope to find out by asking me that?
I hope to find out who made a killing on the fight by making Johnny a setup for Brennan. He was 10-1. Good odds for somebody who'd lay a good-sized bet on Brennan.
You mean you think I'd bet against Johnny?
Did you?
That's not worth answering.
All right, look. Johnny was knocked out because he was drugged. He couldn't see. And he was drugged only a few minutes before he went into the ring.
Baker?
No, a manager who's bringing up a champion doesn't sell him out.
And that leaves only me, is that it?
Maybe.
And I bet everything I had on Brennan. Is that your story?
What's yours, Helen?
I have none. If that's what you believe, believe it. But tell me where Johnny is.
I promised I wouldn't.
You promised? Oh, no, Johnny can't believe I...
Where's that brooch he sent you?
Brooch?
Yeah, that's right. The one he sent from Italy. A $3,000 brooch that'd bring about $1,500 in a pawn shop. And $1,500 at 10-1. Well, seems to be my day for taking it.
I'm sorry.
Didn't you give Johnny chewing gum just before he went into the ring?
What did you say?
Chewing gum. Johnny wouldn't tell me, but I know you gave it to him.
Yes.
You admit it?
Yes.
Huh. That was the only way he could have been drugged. And you admit it?
Yes, I admit it.
Doesn't make sense.
All right, it doesn't make sense. You're so right, Mr. Holliday. Nothing makes sense. Nothing. Now go back and tell Johnny. Tell everybody. Go on.
Well, this I couldn't get. Two of them. Johnny and Helen knowing it must have been the gum and Johnny not wanting to tell me. Then Helen coming right out and saying she gave it to him. Okay, there was one answer, and I hunted for it in the shape of that brooch. I called Lieutenant Kling at headquarters and got him to do me a favor. It took almost the rest of the day, but late that afternoon.
Brooch? Yes, the police called, but I assure you I did not receive stolen goods in my shop. The police know that I
Sure,
don't
you're in
handle
the
that-
clear. Now, don't worry. Has the brooch been redeemed yet?
No.
Look, all I want to see is a slip and who signed the brooch in.
Well, here, I have it ready. I thought it would be the police who would come. It's right here. Here you are.
There's no mistake about this.
Oh, no. I let him have $1,000 on it.
1,000? And you're sure?
Yes. There's where he signed his name, John Capelli.
No, that couldn't be right. Unless Johnny was afraid he couldn't make a fake fight look good and wanted to make sure. But where did Helen figure? And why? Why? Then it hit me. Johnny protects Helen. Helen admits she did it. It made so little sense it began to clear. I checked with betting agents and found one who took a bet on Brennan, a bet of $1,000 at 10-1. He remembered who placed the bet, so... Well, that gave me one more call to make. Back I went to Helen's apartment. Hello.
Yes? Oh, hiya, Holliday. Come on in.
Oh, thanks, Eddie. Your sister home?
No. Grab a chair. Haven't you seen her?
Oh, yes, earlier. But aren't you going to ask me about Johnny?
Oh, sure. Where is he?
I know.
Well, what about him? I mean, he's okay, huh?
Yeah, he's okay.
Oh, that's swell. You know, Holliday, I couldn't figure a guy like Johnny doing something like that.
No, neither could I, Eddie. That's why I knew he didn't.
What?
Here, Eddie, have a stick of gum.
Oh, no, I never use it.
Good for the nerves.
Yeah, that's what they say. Well, that's what you come to see me about, huh?
Maybe. You like to gamble, don't you, Eddie?
Gamble? Oh, sometimes. Why?
Ever get in so deep you had to steal to make yourself even?
What kind of a crack is that?
Oh, a nasty one. Just as nasty as stealing your sister's brooch.
What did she tell you?
Nothing. But she had a fight with Johnny. Maybe he noticed she didn't have the brooch. Asked her about it. Maybe she had her ideas about where it was.
Yeah? So what?
So she knew and gave you a break. But you had different ideas, Eddie. You pawned the brooch, signed Johnny's name to the slip, then bet 1,000 against Johnny.
Ah, you nuts, you're off your rocker.
Tell you what, Eddie. Let's you and I take a trip to the pawnbroker, then we'll go to the betting agent where you placed the bet. Maybe I won't look so much off my rocker then, huh?
All right. So what? I got a break. I'll redeem the brooch and... What are you looking at me like that for?
I took 2 on the chin today. Maybe it's my turn now to give, Eddie.
You lay off now. Sis won't prosecute, and Johnny won't neither. She won't marry him if he did, and...
It's not the brooch, Eddie. It's the chewing gum. The gum you gave your sister to give Johnny. The drug gum to ensure your bet.
You can't prove nothing. You can't.
Eddie, you and I are going to the boxing commission, and you're going to talk.
No, I ain't.
Either that or I tell Johnny everything. And leave him in the room. Alone with you. Oh, Eddie. Get your top coat, too. It's kind of chilly outside. Well, Susie, as they say in the books, all's well that ends well.
Gee, it's so romantic. Johnny and Helen getting married, Johnny getting another crack at the championship, and I... What's the matter? What's the matter, Mr. Holliday?
Oh, Susie, my jaw is really sore. Johnny hung a nice right cross on me.
What's a right cross?
Huh? Well, it's, here, look, put up your hands.
This way?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, look, I lead with my left like this, and you...
Like that? Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Holliday. Mr. Holliday, Oh, good night, Mr. Holliday.
Next week, same time, Alan Ladd stars as Dan Holliday in Box 13. Alan Ladd appears through the courtesy of Paramount Pictures. Watch for him in his latest picture, Saigon. Box 13 is directed by Richard Sandville with an original story by E. Jack Newman and Russell Hughes. Original music is composed and conducted by Rudy Schrager. Susie is played by Sylvia Picker, and the part of Johnny Capelli was played by John Beal. Production is supervised by Vern Karstensen. This is a Mayfair production from Hollywood.